Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I welcome you guys. If you're new here, consider subscribing. If you have been here for a while, welcome back. So today's video is going to be pretty short, but I just want to address the whole thing. It's been coming on ever since Trump came into office, but the whole food stamp issue. Now, if you guys don't know what food stamps are, I'm pretty sure you can pretty much Google it. It's basically, in a nutshell, a supplemental program that needy families and individuals can apply for, and they get a SNAP card. We in Texas we call it SNAP. I'm not sure if they call it SNAP in any other states, but let me know down below. Educate me a bit. But apparently they had a it's just a card. It looks kind of like almost like a credit card in a way. And they just kind of go get groceries and they swipe it through like a regular credit card. They enter a PIN number like a debit card, and then that's it. So then they get their groceries, but they're allocated like so much money a month. So it can be anywhere from a few bucks to several hundreds. Even some people boasted on TikTok talking about how they may have like thousands of dollars every month, which is outrageous to me to even get through my head here. I myself have personally have used food stamps before, and it is a hard process to go through, because not only is it tedious where you have to answer all these questions in this application, and you have to basically let the government know everything about you. They want to know how much are you paying each month on your electric bill, your water bill, your rent, your credit cards, anything like that. They also want to know, do you own a car? Do you own a house? Do you own, I mean, it's a lot of stuff you have to go through. Plus, you have to prove some of this stuff. So if you say, no, I don't have this or whatever it is, sometimes you have to prove it. I mean, and with something, the thing about it is that you don't have to, not every, I guess, every, um, I guess, caseworker, um, actually says that that they actually know you know their job title is to actually request certain documentations. Well, some social workers, caseworkers, I guess what they're called, don't actually ask these questions. They just go for what you say on the application and they take it for what it is, because there's so much. There's like maybe like 10 caseworkers per like hundreds or of applicants. So, and these applicants are expected to be getting a denial or approval within a certain timeline. I believe they have like 60 days or 30 days to be able to be told, yes, you're approved, or no, you're not approved, or you're in that middle category where we can't say yes or no until you need to provide something to support your documentation. So, with that being said, though, okay, so with food stamps and stuff, they have now come up before you be able to buy anything that's edible. Now, way back, I want to say like early 2000s, almost, whatever, you actually could buy almost, even you used to be able to almost pretty much buy dog food and cat food on it because it's edible. Anything that is edible can be purchased. Um, the only thing they don't do, I mean, obviously, if they won't, is tobacco and alcohol, which is still stands today, which is common sense. Um, which this is why people are like, well, if you can buy cigarettes and alcohol, why are you on food stamps? It kind of makes sense. Even I myself have thought that way, even when on food stamps. That mindset is still there because I absolutely needed it. And you over here that absolutely don't need it is purchasing said items. And it's like, if you get to the register and you're literally having to separate items because you can afford this money, you can afford this over here, but you can't afford that over there, and you want food stamps, pay for this, and you'll pay for this. If you're doing that at the register, you do not need food stamps. I'm sorry. The only time you should be doing that at the register is if you're separating the food from the non-food. That's the only time. Um, and alcohol, cigarettes are considered, yeah, they're considered a food item. Um, the thing is though, new lawmakers have now, and it's already started to implement, it's already happening. Y'all, if you guys are on TikTok, I personally am not on TikTok. I don't think I'll ever be on TikTok, but people have actually started, um, uh, legislators, representatives, whatever it is, in several states have already started saying, hey, we need to cut down on obesity rates. We need to cut down on all this things, funding money that's going into these how you're going into these accounts where people that are using this money to buy sodas, snack cakes, chips, candies, whatever, and not buy, they're not really purchasing as much as meat, vegetables, fruit, things like that, milk, things like that that need to, that are more supposed to be nutrition program. SNAP is literally supplemental nutritional assistance program. That's what it stands for. So if you're on that, it's supposed to be nutritional. Those items they're saying are not nutritional, which is like cakes, ice creams, candy, soda, things like that are not nutritional. Um, Hear me out. I get it. I understand that argument. I really do. And I do believe that there's some people out there that do abuse that program. They have money to buy groceries, but they're using their own money to, which has probably not been documented money. I'm just saying their money. And when I say documented, I'm not meaning illegal stuff. Don't get me wrong. When I say undocumented, I mean that they're not putting it on their taxes. They're not putting it on the paperwork that is supposed to be, that was asked. They're not letting it be known. When because I know I should use a different word when I say documented. I'm not meaning, because I know right now everybody's trying to think of, when they say the word documented, immediately you're thinking about is the whole ICE thing and illegals and stuff like that. No, I'm not even on that subject at all. I'm just talking about specific paperwork when it comes to your money, and you're not letting the government know that, hey, I had this so much money, and you're not being honest and truthful, and you're not paying your taxes. You're getting cash, and that cash, you're not paying the taxes on that dollar when you do your 1099 or whatever it is, and so forth. Okay, so back to what I was saying though. People are taking some of their money that they make somehow, don't know how, but somehow they make it. They're using that money to buy fancy, luxury items, like, like the shoes, the purses, the cars, whatever. They're buying that lifestyle couture stuff that money should be used for their food. And so they're using that for those items, and then they turn around and they take, and because they think that because they have that card, that SNAP card, that's going to be used for their groceries. And it should be, all money should be used towards groceries, and the SNAP is just supposed to help you kind of get over that inflation, or get over, if you only, let's say if you lost your job for about the last month or so, and you're really struggling and you got mouths to feed, or even feed yourself, you need to pay for food. And say your grocery bill is about $150 a month. I mean a month. I mean a week. God forbid, but a week, and and you don't have any money coming in, and you really have not, and you pretty much eaten whatever food you had left in the house since you've lost said job, and you haven't been able to supplement any more money you had no money coming in, and you trying to sell things, like on the marketplace, or you're doing garage sales, you're trying to sell to a friend, all this stuff, like your TVs and everything you have, the whole point is, so when you qualify, you sign up for SNAP, is to make so you can kind of get you over. It may not give you that usual, that $150 a week that you're used to eating off of, but it may give you that 50 to 75. You can at least get some bread, you can get some soup, you can get, you can get certain items, so you're not going a day without food. You're going to get something. You'll be able to eat at least 2 meals a day. Maybe not 3 plus snacks, but you'll at least be able to get a meal to 2 meals a day. And that's because it's not supposed to be for you to live off long term. It's made for you to live just so you can get another job, so you can, or get more income coming in, so then you can, and that's that benefit program. Just because if you do get another job doesn't mean that you'll never be able to qualify to get food stamps again. Even if you have a job, you may not be making enough to still be able to afford to pay groceries on the table, because the money that you're making goes to pay your rent, goes to pay your utilities. That's just bare minimum, so you need the government to help you pay for something else, which is aka probably your food, your grocery bill. Now, my problem is that so when you need that program when you need it to actually help you pay for your groceries and stuff like that, you got to understand that when you get a job, you have to tell the government, hey, I got a job, even if they don't ask, so the whole point is so it could be documented, so they know that, okay, this person got a job. So how much are you making a week or a month, or how do you get paid? How much are your bills? Okay. Let's say where you were at zero before, and we say we gave you like $600 a month to eat off of, just as for one individual. I mean, so you have $0, okay, and you have nothing to eat off. You ate it. You ate up your SNAP benefits, okay? But when you get a job, and say, like I said, say if you were getting $600 a month for food stamps for you, just you yourself, if you were getting $600 a month for food stamps, and say you got a job, say you get a job paid minimum wage, and wherever you're located at, and then you get paid, let's say once a week, and say, like, let's just say you get maybe, let's just say you bring home like $200 or $300 a week. Well, that right there, your food stamps, you may still be able to get still food stamps, because say if your rent is like $1,200 a month, and your utilities just bundled all together is probably another like $200 or something, $300, and then you have gas in your car, or you may have a car payment, or things like that. So you actually have, or you may have other transportation, like you have to pay for like a bus pass, or just to get to and from work. Well, and that's another concept. That's a whole nother video itself, because the government will kind of help you. It will kind of help you pay for your gas to get to and from work sometimes. It would also help you pay for your kids' daycare. It also helps. I mean, there's so much. You can actually live your life with the whole point the government pays for everything for you to basically exist. But it's not supposed to be for the life of your whole life, or your kid's whole life. It's just supposed to be for you a few months out of that year or something like that, just to get you over to the next phase, to give you time and make sure to get to the next phase where you don't have to be on these benefits. Put that thought mindset aside, though. Specifically with food stamps, though, if you're making that much money, and let's say you made that much money, and you're getting $500 or $600 a month from food stamps, you may still get food stamps. But you probably only get like $300. You may be cut in half. And they may say, okay, you're going to get half for the next 2 or 3 months, and then we'll do another review. And if you make more money, let us know. We'll keep cutting off. The point is to baby you into it. People get so scared about letting the government know, hey, I made this much money. They don't cut them off immediately. Most of the time they don't. They don't want you to repeat the same process. The whole point is so once you're on it and then you get off of it, the whole point is to not try to get back on it again. Not to be repeating that same cycle. The whole point of these resources, and they are resources, they're not your answer to life. People are treating the government system, any assistance system, any welfare system, as it's the answer to all their problems. And that's not how it's supposed to be done. So, putting all that mindset, putting all that aside, specifically with food stamps though, there's been new rules now that are about to be applied, and it's really going to be applied, I think, nationwide by 2026. They're saying, and a lot of states have already started doing it, and you probably, like I said, you've already seen it on TikTok probably, people boasting about, you got those TikTokers out there sitting there posting about how they get like $3,000-$4,000 a month on food stamps, and then how they do this and that, and how to cheat the system, or they keep having more kids and they don't care because it gives them more money and so forth. To me, that's just crazy that you even post it on public social media in to begin with, and then you're crying because it got cut off because you're sitting there boasting about it. I mean, you don't think the government doesn't have TikTok themselves? You don't think that these caseworkers don't go home at the end of the day and just scroll through TikTok, and then they're like, hey, I just talked to that girl. Wait, what? And then, you don't think that happens? Y'all think that these people that are in the system, that they don't look at stuff like this? They do. In fact, if not mistaken, I think they're starting to implement a whole department that this is all they do, is scroll through medias of people that are on. They get a list, literally, it's almost like marketing. They get a list of people that are like, look at these people, this is their aliases, their names, their email addresses. Google these people, look them up, look through their social media, see, is there anything that stands out, something, have they been lying, are they saying this and that, and then notify us, and we'll handle it from there. I'm surprised they probably don't already have an actual department set aside for that. Not trying to give ideas out there, but yeah, some of you guys may hate me for that because I'm giving them ideas because to better catch you guys. I'm just saying. But the new rule now is that you cannot purchase any unhealthy, food items. The point is for your food stamps is to go to, you only purchase certain healthier options. You're supposed to use fruits, vegetables, meats, stuff like that. Now, I'm surprised that food stamps is not as strict as WIC. Now, WIC is women. I think it's called women. I forgot what the I stands for, and children. I forgot what the I meant for. But yeah, they are. It is basically only for pregnant women who may or may not have food stamps, or don't qualify for food stamps, but they need that help to get the food that they need, so to have healthy babies. And then once the child is born, they still qualify for more benefits, as far as like more money or whatever it is because of the child, so the child can eat as well, and it helps to get them diapers as well as formula, baby foods, things like that. Now, my child was on WIC, I was on WIC, and I didn't know what WIC was, and at the time we really needed it. I didn't have a job, my husband didn't have a job, he was looking for a job, and it was hard, and we were kind of planning to have kids, but we knew that it was going to be hard, long road for us to have kids, so we thought we need to get started now while we were younger. So, by the time we do get on our feet, we won't have to wait as long to have a child. So we just wanted one, so we just got on our feet, barely got on our feet. We were living in my parents' house, and finally my husband finally got a job, but he didn't pay a whole lot, but it paid some. And it was just enough basically to cover our rent and maybe some utilities and gas in the car. We had one car between us, and I mainly stayed at home. He worked, and it wasn't even probably about a month or two after we signed our lease, found out we were pregnant. So it happened. And I was like, wow, I was even shocked, So we were trying so hard to get pregnant. At the point I was on fertility medication, and I was losing hope because after that point, we couldn't afford nothing else. I knew, and I know that if this doesn't work, then we'll never have kids. And all I kept praying is, God, please let me have one child. Well, we ended up having one kid, and our daughter, and who graduated valedictorian of her class and is now on a full scholarship at a university. So we had done the best we can raising her. We have not been rich by all means. We have been struggling her whole entire childhood. So let's just put that out there. Thankfully, we have family on both sides of both sides of us who are basically helped raise our child with us and helped us support all that stuff. And we've had a great, amazing support system here. But no, granted, I know a lot of people out there, they don't have that. And it's sad, and I wish them nothing but the best for that part. But the point is that when I got pregnant with my child, I didn't really know about WIC until my mother mentioned it. She's like, hey, you may need to check this program out. She heard about it from her work. And because another lady or whatever it is was on it, and, so forth. And so I checked it out, and I'm like, oh, so we qualified for it. And I was so scared because this is a government. I was so scared. And so I was like making sure I did not lie about anything. I was not doing anything. I did the best I could. And I filled all the paperwork out, and of course we were approved. And I couldn't understand halfway through my pregnancy. I was like, I complained to them. I said, how come all you guys are getting, this is back before they had the cards. We actually had paper, like these little like paper check thingies. You tear them out and then you turn them in and you fill it out or whatever it is at the register, and you give it to the cashier. So if you were on WIC and stuff like that, it was pretty obvious you were on WIC. So I complained to them. I said, why do all I have is, you're mainly only giving me a lot of peanut butter, a lot of milk. I've got like 4 or 5 gallons of milk a month. And I'm only able to cut in maybe like 2 things of juice. And it was really, and maybe I think like $26 worth of vegetables and fruit. And then that's it. And I had to really use a calculator when I was shopping, because I remember we used to go to Walmart and I would buy the fruits and vegetables, and I'm literally, if you've never sat with a calculator in the fruit and vegetable area, you've never been poor. It is nerve-wracking. And not only that, it's talk about, if you have to really read the sign, it says each or by the pound. You really have to hoover over by the little scale and make sure that you're hitting dollar for dollar, because otherwise, if you go over the register, when they try to calculate it, when you go through the line at the register, it won't let you pass through. It won't go through. They won't accept it. I was over by 2 pennies one time, and I told this lady, I said, just take a couple grapes off, I guess. I don't know, because maybe to make it lighter so it would pay. And you want to use the whole amount of dollar, and it's hard to get the whole amount of dollar without going over. I think maybe 1 or 2 times I've ever hit it exactly on the mark. But it was so hard because $26 was a very odd number. It wasn't like $20, $25. It was 26. So it was weird. The good thing about it also, there was no taxes on any of this stuff, so I didn't have to worry about all that. But yeah, I complained to the WIC office, and I said, why am I only given this? I need more of this. I need meat. I was given bread, one loaf of bread, and like 1 jar of peanut butter, no jelly, because that's a luxury. Jelly is a luxury. You can only have peanut butter. It was like, I was like, I need meat. I need like hamburger meat, maybe a couple canned goods. Can I get stuff like that? Their response to me, and I remember because I emailed them, and then they emailed me back, and they told me, they were like, well, granted, you guys, you gotta understand, this was back in like way early 2000s. So, and I remember they emailed me back, and they were like, if you need extra money for food, you need to apply for food stamps. You need to apply for the SNAP program because you, and I was like, can I have both? And they're like, you can while you're pregnant, and then afterwards, the child will be on WIC, but you will be on food stamps. And I was like, oh wow. So I had to go through that aspect or whatever it is. Well, I ended up not going, not applying for the food stamps at that time. I don't know why, I can't remember, but I just didn't. And I ended up just trying to do the best we can. I ate at least once or twice, at my parents' house, so they had meat. Every once in a while, they would help us out. They'll give me like 20-30 bucks here and there to even, and my husband's mom and stuff like that, she would help us out, and take, get us extra stuff that the program didn't pay for. So we were actually blessed to have that, support with us. But so in WIC, you can only stay on it until they're about 5 years old. The child's five, and then after that, they get switched over to food stamp program, or you don't get on any program at all. So it's only good up to age 5. And I think we were only on it up until my daughter was probably about 3. And then I kind of took her off of it because it was like we were starting to do okay. We were starting to do a little bit better. We were like struggling like we were at the beginning, but we were doing a lot better. So we ended up getting her, we totally got off of WIC and everything like that by the time my daughter was like 3 or 4 years old. And then we just continued to live life, and she's doing great, so. And my husband got different jobs and they paid a little bit more. And then I was going to school to try to see if I can get a job that, that we could both be 2 incomes coming in and so forth. And so all that was great. All that was fine. So we never really had to be on actual food stamps themselves. Now, but what I don't understand is that people right now, because the whole food stamp thing, I understand that the program is made for you to get nutritious and healthy food items and options, right? So, but what people fail to realize, and I think a lot of the states and legislations and so forth, they are, I don't think they really care about the mental health aspect of things. You got to think about almost everybody that's on food stamps have got a child. They have at least one child. I'm not saying they all do, but I want to say 90 something percent of people. I haven't looked at statistics, so don't come at me because I don't know the whole statistic thing. But from what I've come to understand, and everything I read about, it has to talk about children, and a lot of them are women who have multiple children, and so forth. They are on the food stamp program. Now, mind you, let's think about these children. Yes, the parents need to get jobs, they need to work. We all get that. I'm not on here to talk about that part. I'm talking about the mental health aspect when it comes to being a child who is receiving food stamps. Now, yes, does that child need to be healthy and eat healthy items? Yes. But I do think there needs to be a middle program in between, or at least a program where the child can, not the child, but the parent, along with the child, can apply for, like if they knew ahead of time. Okay, so what I'm talking about is this. Imagine you are 5, 6, 7, 8, even 9, 10 years old, or even in your early teens, 11, 12, 13 or whatever, and you have a birthday coming up. You know your parents, when you're young, you don't pay attention to the register, checking out when your parents, check things out or whatever it is, and they scan that card, you think it's a credit card or whatever it is. Well, you think that but when you get a little bit older, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe even a little bit later than that, you do pay attention, and you know your parent, you're on food stamps, you understand that whole point of it. Well, imagine you're a child, okay, and your birthday is coming up, and you live in a state, or even after 2026, all states in the United States, um, and your parents are still struggling, you're still doing everything and whatever it is, and you would at least like to have a birthday cake. Okay, you cannot go buy said birthday cake. You can buy cakes at the store that are already made because they're cold and they don't have to be heated up and like that. They're just sitting there. You can buy those. You can't buy customized cakes, but you can buy the regular sheet cakes. Now, imagine your mom going to the store to get said sheet cake and register. You cannot buy it with food stamps, and your mom did not allow or allocated that money to pay for said cake. Okay, this is just the cake part. Okay, now imagine. Okay, so people are going to say, well, why can't you just go buy the cake mix and everything like that and make their own cake? We could do that. Problem is though, food stamps are not gonna allow to buy those items either. We are not going to be allowed to buy certain mixes to make a unhealthy item. Um, so that option is out the window. So a child is not going to have a cake unless somebody else buys the cake for them or the parent pays out of pocket for them. And if that parent's already struggling, cakes already themselves already cost anywhere from probably, I think at Walmart, I think I saw like a regular small like sheet cake about this big for like $8.99 to like and then they can go as high as like 30-40 bucks. But unless they allocate that money, you may not have one. Now, mind you, imagine if you're 7 years old and you want a birthday party, and your mom's like, oh, we can't afford a birthday party, we can't do anything, we can't afford to go anywhere to have a birthday party, like the skating rink or at a movies, or you can't go do something with a group of kids like bowling and stuff like that. You can't have big grand birthday parties for that, but you still want to give your kid a party. So you think, well, we could do it at our home, we could do it at a park, those places are kind of free, we can do those things. Problem though is that, one, decorations and stuff like that themselves are expensive. Okay, so maybe we can just go to the dollar store and buy that stuff. Maybe we can hand make some decorations. Maybe I can afford like 3 to 4 balloons, stuff like that. Okay, we could do that. Okay, so maybe you allocated maybe $20 for that. Now, with said birthday party, you have to have a cake. Sometimes you want to include a little bit of ice cream in there. Sometimes you want to include, let's talk about drinks. What are you supposed to drink? Milk? I mean, who does that? I mean, it's like, you can't buy Kool-Aid. You can't, and even some of the fruit juices like apple juice and things like that, and cranberry juice, some of those things are even being red flagged for not being able to be purchased because it has sugar in it. And so you can't get Kool-Aid, you can't get Capri Suns, you can't get those little hugs, you can't get, you can forget soda. Soda is totally out of the question. So you can't get those items. So imagine what all this is taking a toll on the child. And everybody, and I know people are going to be out there like, well, this is the parent's fault. The kid needs to be mad at the parent. The parent is doing the best they can. What is said parent is really doing the best they can. They're working 2 to 3 jobs. They are trying. The problem is not the parent. The problem is the system. The problem is not really so much of the system itself, but it's also a problem is the employers are not willing to pay more for the cost of living. The paycheck, your paycheck has not changed in over 10 years, but cost of living has gone up 3 to 4 times that amount. So how are you supposed to cope? It's now isolating the said child and their mental health. Well, I can't have a birthday party. Guess what happens when you're 6, 7 years old and you didn't have a birthday party, and you go to school and your friends are like, you're weird, you're poor, you didn't have a birthday party. Now, let's take away the birthday party part. Now let's imagine holidays. Good luck buying those chocolates, those, candies and stuff like that you put in your kid's stocking at Christmas time. How do you explain to a child that Santa that won't give them candy? How do you explain to a child that I'm sorry, Santa forgot you, but here's an orange? How do you explain that to them? You can't. It's wrong. I mean, it's robbing them of that, just that one moment in time. What does holidays and birthdays and special occasions like that have to do with child obesity? It does not have to do with anything. My problem is that the system wants to completely eradicate anybody who doesn't make over a certain amount of income. You can't buy these certain items because you can't afford to, and it's not fair. It's not right. Um, and I understand that, yes, you have to have a job. Yes, find a better job. Okay, you can only find so many better jobs out there that are within your educational field. And going back to school takes time, and that you don't get paid to go back to school. You don't get paid to put that effort into it because you too worried about working 4 jobs over here to pay those damn bills. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, and then imagine on top of that, forget the holidays, forget the birthdays. Let's talk about class parties. Teacher comes out and says, "Hey, we're going to have a class party." Oh, or sends home flyers with the kids and says, "Okay, can you sign up for this, like chips, soda, whatever, or can you send $3 to $5 or whatever it is, or $10 or whatever it is, with your child to school by this so date?" Well, what if you don't get paid till later on? Or what if you are on food stamps? You can't sign up for chips and soda and stuff like that because you can't pay for those said items. You can't do that. So what are you supposed to do then? I mean, and then so you try to discreetly talk to the teacher about it. And you'd be surprised. There are some teachers out there that don't really care about your financial situation. All they care about is, well, since you can't participate, then your child can't participate. Like, that's one way of singling out. Now, when I was a child, I remember we used to do class parties all the time, and for eating something so small, like the teacher say, "Oh, everybody got 100 on their quiz this week. Guess what? We're gonna have a class party this Friday," or something dumb like that. It's like we would have, like, in a class party, usually it's like, oh, the teacher passed out some cookies and some juice. It really wasn't a big ordeal. But I do remember, though, we did have some bigger parties where one or two classes would combine, and we'd actually literally have a card table like set out where we would have the teachers kind of working the table, but we would have, or the class moms would be working it, and we would have like the sodas, and we would have like 4 or 5 choices of sodas. We'd have some chips over here, we'd have cupcakes, and then there maybe be a pizza or something like that. There were bigger parties like the holiday party, like we would have one for Christmas, or our little Thanksgiving party, or Halloween. We could do stuff like that. All this was mostly in elementary school, but when we did those things, I remember when I was a child, I didn't come from a rich, well, classified as rich, background. I mean, my family struggled as well. I came from two parents were hairstylists, and if you're a hairstylist, you understand you don't have health insurance. You don't have that job stability. You thrive on whether somebody wants to get on the books that week and get their hair done. You want to be, your check, your pay varies so greatly from week to week to week. So, and it was my brother and and thankfully my parents didn't have more kids, but I used to be almost embarrassed because I'd be like, please do not sign up for like chips or cupcakes or something like that. Just, let me just sign up to give like some money and let them buy the stuff, because my parents we ate off of store brand items. So when we got this, when my parents got soda, my parents were like, "Hey, I've got you 2 liters of soda to take to class, for your party." Of course, it wasn't Dr. Pepper. It wasn't Coca Cola. It wasn't Pepsi. It was Shasta, Dr. Thunder. It was one of those things. And I mean, me as an adult now, I drink Shasta. I don't mind it. It's still soda. I don't care. If I want a soda, I want a soda. But as a child, I was kind of embarrassed. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be that one person, and and sometimes I really was that one person, that one kid that brought Shasta soda, and thankfully, I don't remember the trauma of being bullied about that, because I think some other kids in my class, and because we all kind of come from the same neighborhood, we all kind of live in the same type of income bracket. So the income bracket really didn't divide until I got into middle school, because we had feeder schools. So, and those other schools feed into one other middle school, and so the income bracket exploded. So it means that we had kids all the way from making there were probably in the foster care system or homeless, and we probably weren't aware of, to kids that were their parents were on the school board. I mean, they made money. So it just kind of it varied, and you just kind of find your people in between all that. Well, but in elementary school, I was kind of embarrassed by it, and I remember seeing my Dr. Thunder or my Shasta soda or whatever it's a cola, or even when it says Sam's Cola, sitting on the table, and I'm like, and everybody else has got like Coke products or Dr. Pepper products or Pepsi products, and I'm like, I'm over here with my store brand items. And thankfully, though, when I handed over, the teacher didn't say, "Oh, so so about this soda, so so about that soda." It wasn't like that. It was all mixed up, so no one really kind of knew who really bought what soda. But some kids pointed out, said, "Oh yeah, you like that? I brought that. I brought this or whatever." Sometimes I lied and I would just point out something, but like, "Yeah, I brought this one or whatever it is," even though I really didn't. Um, but it was just that pride, you know what I'm saying? So, and I remember the one time we were in charge of bringing cookies, and I actually got a name brand cookie, and I can't remember what the brand is nowadays. I think it's Chips Ahoy or something, but I was able to bring name brand cookies one time, and I was so like, I didn't even want to put them in a bag. I was carrying them out in the open, like in front of the class, so proud to bring the name brand item. Now, it seems so small now because I'm an adult, but as a child, that is a big thing. It sounds dumb now because it's just cookies, but it is something that you think about. And as you get older, you start realizing there was that divide, and it did bother you. Now I'm thinking about nowadays though, you take those parents and you put these restrictions on some of the food stamps. That child is not going to be able to bring said items. They're not going to be able to afford to bring said items, or they may, it's like and a lot of times you can't even make homemade items anymore because allergies, or because people lace stuff in, and it's like you can't do any of that. So what are you supposed to do? I mean, and it's not like you have the extra couple of dollars and send her a couple of dollars and say, "Oh, hey, here's the money, here's $5, here's $10. It's not like you have that luxury. So, I mean, all I'm going to say is that I think there needs to be a system in place where you said, if you're going to be restrictions on SNAP, fine, put those restrictions, but allow there to be also another program where parents can apply like one time a year or something like that, or a couple of times a year. They can either or log into a website and an account and say, "Hey, can we have can you allocate an approval of, let's say, $10 or $20 of non-healthy items on my account this month or for that month." There should be something in place where it should be able to where we are allowed to do that, because and if you have several kids different ages and there's always going to be something every month, then on that case that should be a whole different program for that. And typically, and yes, I understand people want to say, "Oh, they're just TANF. You can get cash allowances." TANF is not made for that. TANF is totally separate and it's a lot harder to get. And not every person on SNAP benefits for that. They don't qualify for that. So TANF is, and then TANF is only made for I think once a year, or if that. So, or once every 3 years. So, yeah. Anyways, but that's mostly what I want to talk about as far as the food stamp things. What do you guys think about all this? Because I can't be the only one thinking about when it comes to the whole food stamp thing. And I'm thinking about children and what they must be feeling and what they're going to go through when it comes to that, when they find out they can't, or imagine a child who has special needs, but is high functioning, and who, let's say, has autism, and they're used to getting those gummy bears once a week, and mom's going to finally just randomly say, no, we can't get them because food stamps don't pay for them. So, and then they don't understand, they can't process that. And imagine just the mental health aspect of it, the emotional health about it. Yes, it's a hard life, but it's not a life that kids should have to carry. It's not a life just because either one, because their parents are not getting paid enough so they can be off of the system to afford said items, and two, or their parents are just lazy and they just want to use TikTok as a form of income, and keep, instead of getting an actual job that could afford to pay for said items. Or three, that it's not fair that the parents are over here having more and more kids, more and more mouths to feed, so the ones that they already do have go without. It's not to me, I think that yes, the whole system is completely broken, but I think it's so broken now that they're trying to fix it, and I think it's too late. I think it's way too late for them to try to fix it now. We can't go backwards. You can't. You've had this program for many decades now, and you had pretty much the same rules. So, and now you want to change it up, and it's too far gone. Unless you're going to hire more caseworkers and pay them decently well, so the turnover won't be so high, that actually will do their job better, where they can actually look into each an account and actually put forth the effort of making a better decision on who gets approved and who doesn't. And then therefore there won't be some that are getting approved when they should not be on it to begin with because they didn't prove their case, or that ones that do really need it, they're not getting hardly any at all because the caseworker is not doing their job appropriately either. I mean, there's so many aspects between the parent side and the government side and society itself. I mean, it's all a big ball of mess, and I really, really hope that there is some kind of program that gets placed in between to soften not just the blow, but mainly for parents with children that are already here, not ones that they're planning on having, but they're already here, that will be able to eventually be able to apply for said, special occasions, or get that, for the months of October, November, and December, all food stamps receivers can purchase unhealthy items during those 3 months only, or during and on birthday months, a child's birthday month, they're allowed $20-$30 just so they can spend, so that child, or something that's unhealthy for that child, so that child doesn't go without. And as far as class stuff goes, maybe set aside a separate account that for the SNAP receiver to be able to apply for, and say, hey, I need, or that can tap into it and say, hey, I need to use $10 out of this account, so for my child's field trip, or my child's class party, or something like that, because it's already bad enough when you already allocated $100 for groceries each week because your SNAP only has $450 a month, and you only have $100 each week to spend on groceries. Never mind, I mean, never mind that you have to worry about, you need extra money for a field trip. or you need extra money for, anything else extra. I mean, it kind of sucks. And I mean, so there needs to be something aside for parents to better be able to not have their child go without. And I know there's going to be some parents out there, and I'm surprised there are, but I know there's some parents out there going to say, well, that's not fair to my child who we work hard and we make money and we can afford those said things, and that so we can enjoy those luxury items. So we can do those things. It's not fair. It's like, but it's not fair for this said child either. That said child should not be punished because of the parent or because society or the government. So I wish a lot some of those parents, I wish they get off their pedestals, off their entitlement, and actually look at what the actual problem is. So anyways, appreciate it. I know I said this video was going to be long, but it is over 50 minutes, and I am so sorry. I just went off a tangent. I just went off and started talking about it. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about the whole food stamp thing? What do you guys think about, the new rules? Do you have a child? Are you on food stamps? You don't have to tell me, but if you are, comment down below and let me know, how does it been, how are you able to compensate for the things that you are missing? Do you live in a state that already has the new rules applied? Let me know, because I'm curious, because our state itself is slowly getting there. They've already started, like I said, I'm in Texas. I believe we're there, or we're about to get there. And so it's going to be crazy out there, especially shopping. And if you're not on food stamps, beware, because there are going to be people that are going to be desperate enough that it's going to be like 2020 when everybody's trying to get toilet paper, and people were actually getting killed over toilet paper. So beware that there are going to be people out there, and there's going to be a lot more shoplifting as well, because these parents, they're not going to be able to afford something. They're just going to steal it because the government's not helping them. They're saying no, they can't afford it, but they're not going to let their child go without. And so so they're desperate. So I'm prepared for that. So are you? I mean, you never know nowadays. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you made it, stay tuned. This is not just an actual video formatting that I like to do right now, but I just thought I'd sit down and get this off my mind, because it was on my mind when I woke up this morning for some reason. I guess because I read an article last night and this morning, so I just wanted to talk about it, get it off my chest, and I'm just curious what everybody else is thinking. So with that being said, stay tuned. Hit the notification bell, because you never know when I put another video out. And make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And if you are watching and you're not subscribed, check out my other videos, and then maybe consider subscribing, or maybe subscribe for now and then give me a little bit of time and then see if you want to stick around. Hopefully you do. And I appreciate you guys' time and energy and everything. And as always, comment down below. I welcome every comment. I'm a huge sponsor of freedom of speech, so whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever, I will either comment or I don't. Who knows? So as always, hope you guys have a great day or a great weekend, actually, and stay tuned, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.